You guys, I have been waiting to film this video for you guys because there is so much content, so many things that I want to share about this topic, and I'm just gonna dive right in. Today I am talking all about my migration from an inventory management system known as Craftybase to Inventora. And if you are between one or the other, or maybe you've used one and thinking about going to the other, my goal in this video is to make this very easy, very straight to the point with very constructive pros and cons for you guys to weigh out your options. Because let's be honest, when you get into bed with an inventory management system, you are pulling up the covers. It is very hard to change pace once you've already inputted all of that data, and I'm here to help you guys with that today. If you're new to my channel, my name is Ashley. I am a serial entrepreneur. I like to create businesses, and thankfully I like to keep them going. This channel specifically has been taking you guys along on the journey of me starting a candle business, and I'm sharing with you guys the things that I do know with a business and marketing perspective, and humbly sharing the things that I don't know and unfortunately might be learning the hard way, i.e. this video. And I just wanted to share with you guys the perspective of all the things highs and low of running a product-based business. Without further ado, like I said, today's video is all about an inventory management system. And if you're not quite sure if this video is right for you or not, if you are a maker, if you are somebody that has a lot of supplies that go into making a finished product, these inventory management systems are crucial. They're crucial for one, keeping track of all of the supplies that you have on hand. And they're crucial for two, keeping track of the cost of goods for things, especially nowadays when things are so up and down in regards to cost. It allows you to really keep a fine-tooth comb and really weed out all of the different prices that goes into your finished said product. So really managing those cost of goods and allowing you to know if you need to have a price increase at some point. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. For today's purposes, I'm going to go down the rabbit hole of two inventory management systems that I have now been using and fully immersed in. I did release a video a while back because I first went into about 6 months into my business. I knew I needed an inventory system because Excel wasn't cutting it. I wasn't keeping up with it. Orders were coming in and I just needed something to integrate into my website, which is Shopify. So I looked and looked, and at the time Inventora was around, but for one reason or another, I decided to jump in with Craftybase. And I decided to, along the way, obviously take you guys along with me because any big move like that, I usually make a video about. And after I started to get my feet wet with it and immerse myself in their platform, I realized that there were some things that I didn't necessarily love, but as I got more and more involved in it, there definitely are some things that I didn't necessarily hate either. And now that I have used it for a while, so I think I used it for about 1.5 years, and I realized that it was just something that wasn't working for me. So I did, full transparency, reach out to the people at Inventora. They had kind of messaged me in times before doing some things with makers, and they have a really collaborative, kind of vibe to them, but I kind of hemmed and hawed on it because honestly, taking the time to really make this switch is daunting, and I haven't wanted to do it at all. And holidays come and everything like that, and at the end of the day, I have a bottom line that I have to make, and I don't have the time or really energy to go and make the switch. But 2023 now, and I'm in the 3rd year of my business or going into it, and I really realized that, okay, I need to make a switch because I'm tired of complaining about these little nuances within Craftybase that I'll share with you guys, that I really wanted to make a shift and just see if it was worth it on the other side. Because these are really the two software contenders that I feel like are worth weighing in on. So I tried one, and for the sake of one, you guys, and sharing the experience, because a lot of people on this channel and comments have said, have you tried Craftybase? Have you tried Inventora? Have tried Craftybase. And so I really wanted to weigh in on that. And then two, selfishly, I just wanted to know if it was going to be better for my user experience. So let's get into it today, now that I've given you the backstory. And what I'm going to do is try and organize my thoughts as best I can, that I'm going to share with you guys the pros and cons of each, things that I really loved with both and things that I really don't love with both. Because now that I've been in both platforms, I've realized there's not a perfect system out there, unfortunately, that I feel like would make my life super streamlined, easy. It's getting close, and I have noticed that over time these systems are evolving. Full disclaimer, I have no idea what it takes to run a software. I have no idea what it takes to run the back end of data management or anything like that. So first off, kudos to both of these platforms. And I hope that all of this is taken with complete constructive criticism and not like nitpicking or anything like that. And this is just speaking from my experience and things that maybe I wish or had a wish list of. Let's get into it. So first and foremost, just the basic interface. The con that I will start off on with Craftybase, it's daunting. It's robust. It's very kind of like kicks it old school, I guess is what I would say. And the con of that is very different from the pro of Inventora, which is it's bright, it's inviting, it's pretty user-friendly, it's definitely a lot more up-to-date. And so if you're not like a computer person to begin with, like maybe that's just not the screen you want to be behind, if inputting information and data is not your thing, right off the bat, first and foremost, I probably suggest that you just start with Inventora, because me as a person who can get lost in Microsoft Excel and do things on the computer all day long from data and analytics point of view, I was looking at Craftybase sometimes and I'm just like, shit. This is a lot. It's daunting, it's robust, it's overwhelming. Now with that comes a lot of analytics, comes a lot of reporting, comes a lot of things. Now, before you even go there, you're probably thinking, Ashley, like what is the cost? And I'm gonna look at my little cheat sheet here because I didn't really get totally immersed in this, but I did wanna tell you guys that Craftybase does give you a free 14-day trial, but after that you do have to commit to a plan. And I think their plans start at $24 a month. You can pay annually and that shaves a couple bucks off like the monthly subscription. Inventora allows you a free plan, of course, with everything good in life. That obviously gives you somewhat of a limited access. I'm not sure what's limited, but you can upgrade to $19 a month and then that gives you access to everything. And then just full transparency with you guys on this, they did give me free access to the entire Inventora platform. I don't know if that's like gonna last or if it's something that I'm gonna have to pay with eventually. And they were even like, hey, do you want to set up an affiliate link? And I've been full disclosure with them. I'm like, I do not do sponsored things that much. I don't get into bed with anything until I try it. And until I feel like fully like immersed in something and like that I can speak like with my whole heart on, like I'm just not an influencer. I'm not that type of person. No knock to those people, but they did give me free access and your girl's not gonna like throw a stick at being given something for free when running a business because things get expensive. So, and I'm dating it. I'm trying it out. We're on a few dates now. I digress. First look, Craftybase, pretty daunting, pretty robust. Inventora is a lot more, I mean, it's just a newer program. So it's definitely a fresher interface, a little bit more user-friendly. A lot more user-friendly. With that though, I will say that the amount of things that you can do on Craftybase, I had one of the more limited subscriptions on it. I didn't have like the indie or the pro. They have different like levels you spend a lot more money on and you get more access to reporting and things like that. I didn't dive into those. So I do think kind of the sky's the limit with regards to how much you can do on Craftybase, which could potentially be a pro there. So if there's certain things that like you're just like next leveling with, I think your business can really grow with Craftybase. And that is a con with Inventora, but a con that has kind of like an ellipsis at the end because they're constantly growing. They're constantly coming out with new things that they're adding. And even some of the things that I reached out to my contact at Inventora with to say like, gosh, I wish you guys had this. It sounds like they definitely have like an R&D process continually moving the needle forward and releasing to kind of keep up. My battery died, of course. Inventora is definitely moving the needle. They're taking in like outside feedback and really trying to like keep up. With that being said, some of the things with regards to reporting, I don't want to knock it as a con for Craftybase because some of it I wasn't able to access because I would like tightening the purse strings. So I can't really speak to the reporting lengths of things. I did think that the reporting on Inventora was good. But full disclosure, I have not spent a ton of time in the reports in general in Inventora. Craftybase has a ton. I was kind of frustrated because sometimes I just like wanted into some of them and I didn't have access, like I said. I just wasn't willing to like forego the extra dollars a month that it was for like one simple report. Very robust, a lot of options there with Craftybase, so that's definitely a pro that they have. For Inventora, I just don't have enough like proof to the pudding right now of like what their reporting looks like. Most of the nuts and bolts are there for the little bit that I've dabbled in, but I'm an analytics girl and I can just get lost in it. Right now, I am just still in the place where I am just making sure everything's running smoothly, all my cost of goods, everything's calculating correctly, and getting my feet wet in the basic day-to-day processes with it. One of the pros that Craftybase has that is definitely a con and hopefully will move in some direction with Inventora is when you are inputting your products and all of your materials to make said product, in Inventora and in Craftybase, like you get really granular with all that stuff. And so when you make a finished product in both of them, it'll give you your cost of goods. So like, let's say I have a candle and it tells me, okay, this is the cost of goods that it takes to make said candle with this specific size and fragrance in mind. The thing that I really, really loved about Craftybase that it just literally doesn't hold a candle to in Inventora is Craftybase factors in labor. And this was huge, 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 because as a maker, we are kind of like spinning around in this orbit of like, what do we value our time as? What do we value our employees' time as if we get to that level? And it is just so important that we're able to like factor in, yes, this is the cost of good and how much it costs to make said product. But it's even more important to know that this is the cost of good and this is the amount of time and the equivalent amount of labor with that dollar amount attached to it. And so at the end of the day, let's say I'm making all of these batches of candles, I'm able to say like, okay, this is how much money I spent in materials this day, and then this is how much time my labor costs. And I loved that factor. And that is one of the things that I reached out to Inventora about, and I was like, do you guys have this? They said no. They said it's definitely something that's on their radar. So like I am crossing fingers and toes on that one. Again, I am a very data analytical numbers person. And so for some reason for me, that just like definitely spoke to me and was a definite con on the Inventora side that hopefully they will bring to life and be able to allow us to attach that like monetary value. And especially if you have like employees that you hire on, that's a really valuable number because then you're able to go and like really budget yourself for time on task and things like that. Another pro and con that I wanted to share about Craftybase to Inventora was, and I didn't know any different when using it on Craftybase. So when you go and make a manufacture, which is basically like your production. So if I go and make 10 candles, I go into manufacturers tab of Craftybase and I say, hey Craftybase, I made 10 of these candles. And I didn't know any different, so I would just go in and I would allocate what of the finished products I made. So if I made 10 different scents of candles, I would have to go in one by one and allocate which color, which size, which scent, and it just became like a lot. I didn't really know that at the time, but it definitely became a bit more cumbersome of time and energy. Now that I'm into Inventora, it is a bit more time saving, so I guess teeter-totter, it's kind of the same. One and the same. But in Inventora, it's really nice because I can go and do a production run and I can put in everything that I made, just boom, 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 one right after the other. And it's pretty seamless, and especially for someone like me. So I offer, like, let's say up to 10 different scents, and I offer 2 different sizes of those 10 different scents, and I offer 2 different color variations of those 10 different scents of 2 sizes. So with Craftybase, I'd have to go in individually with each differentiating factor or variation. And with Inventora, this is hard to keep track of. With Inventora, I can just do it all within one screen and within one production run. Now, that kind of comes with a little like extension line because it does get a little, I don't love it as much because I can't actually see each individual item when it's in the production screen. So that gets a little like tricky. I really have to like label what that production run is really specifically, kind of like a checks and balances there, but it is nice just for time management of like inputting the information. So Then that goes into another con of Inventora. So it's a pro and a con. This is very down into the weeds. I like the production runs there because it saves time, but then I have to like click into each one and see like which production run was that. And the way that Inventora does it, I like it and I don't like it. I like it in the sense that I connected it to my Shopify. So the minute that I do anything that is a completed production run, they have different stages, which is taking some getting used to. And if you haven't gotten into any of these yet, maybe skip to the next point because this might be a little overwhelming. If you are in the thick of it with me here, stick with me here because I need some feedback on this. If I set up a production run and I move it to in progress and I'm like scheduling the date, I have a 2-week cure process. So a lot of my stuff stays in that in progress lane. It just gets a little cumbersome because I'm like waiting and I have to go back in and check, like see which candles were in there. Some of them I've had to break out into separate ones because they're done sooner. I digress. Then I move it over to completed and then it's all said and done. It immediately strikes my inventory. It immediately goes to my Shopify. Voila. I think that that's great and all said and done, but I found that there is a lot of like muddy area and gray area where sometimes I wish it would just break out. And so I'm really trying to finesse that area of the whole production run as a whole. But for the most part, I do appreciate the streamlined time, energy saving like efforts that have gone into it. I think it's just going to take some getting used to because with Craftybase, it's very cut and dry. Input the information, create the manufacturer. Go back in, input the information, create the manufacturer. And then it's really easy to find. Another con that I have with Inventora, I wish they would allow us to assign batch numbers. We can't do that. It just automatically inputs a batch number and assigns it. And I really, really, really wish we could do our batch numbers like the ones that we're assigning on our own notes and our own everything else. I really wish that was a thing. Inventora, help me out. Let us assign our own batch numbers. That would be just glorious. Thing that I wanted to share that I do day in and day out is I have a link to my Shopify, and something that I don't know if I did this correctly or not, but for some reason with Craftybase, when I input more inventory, let's say I make the manufacturer, my Craftybase platform doesn't talk to Shopify. My Shopify talks to Craftybase, but it doesn't go backwards the other way. Meaning if I make 10 candles and I input that information in Craftybase, it doesn't go and update that in Shopify. That's definitely a con. And I might not have had something set up correctly, so maybe that's something that needs more clarification. But with Inventora, if I update something in a manufacturer, aka production for them, let's say I make those 10 candles, I put it in Inventora, it's immediately, once it's completed, adding that to my Shopify. So then my customers know, hey, this girl has 10 more candles I can go and buy. I think that's pretty helpful. I get lost in the numbers and I always like worry and triple check things, but so far so good. So fingers crossed on that. Now, subsequently, there's another thing that I don't really love about Craftybase, which is wholesale orders. So I've always gone in and run my wholesale separate. I'm not at a level now where wholesale is run on my Shopify website. What I have to do now is I have to go in and manually input that information and invoice them on QuickBooks and do the whole rigmarole. And it's worked out so far, it's been fine. But what I've had to do on Craftybase, which has been not my favorite, but I didn't know any different at the time until now, what I'd have to do is go in and manually input an order in Craftybase so that my inventory stock levels would adjust. Because it wouldn't matter and I'd have to do it on Shopify separate. I digress. So what I would do is I would go into orders on Craftybase, I would input the order information, and then I would have to go in and manually adjust the price for that sale because I want my margins to autocorrect as well, because my margins in wholesale are different than my margins in somebody who goes to my Shopify website. So I'd have to go in, I'd have to manually adjust that. It wasn't a huge pain in the butt because I didn't know any different. But now, when I go into Inventora, when you set up a product, you set up the retail price and you set up the wholesale price. And why that's super, super huge, big pro shining lights is because when I go in and I manually input an order in Inventora, all I have to do is just switch it from retail to wholesale. And once it's on wholesale, it's auto-correcting all of the prices for my wholesale pricing. So basically my 50% markup as opposed to my retail markup. And that is wonderful because then it also categorizes all of those wholesale orders so I can go back in. It marks them as have they been paid, have they been picked up. You can put in notes, you can put in all of this stuff. And it honestly has just been really, really nice. And again, it's super easy to input that information. You don't have to change the pricing on it. Like 10 out of 10 recommend that part. Wholesale ordering through Inventora is a huge major pro. I know that I just like threw a lot of information at you guys. I get really passionate about this stuff. Like I said, I really love numbers. I really love knowing exactly where my inventory counts are, my margins are, all of the things. I just love them all coming together and like making sense in some shape or another. Mostly because a lot of things in running a small business don't make sense, and we're kind of just like spinning in this orbit of like, what do we do? What's next? How do we do this? All the things. And so at the end of the day, numbers always make sense, and there's always factual information behind it, which is probably why I gravitate towards these inventory management systems, and probably why I'm also so very hard to please with some of them. Really do hope that this was constructive for you guys. I really hope that you guys found some information that was helpful for you in either making a decision with these two different inventory management systems. Maybe you switch from one to the other. Maybe you're just dipping your toe in one or the other right now. Either way, I would love the information and feedback below. And if you have experienced one or the other and have something that you want to share with me, I am all ears, you guys. I want to hear about it. Looking for 30 for 30. It's $30 for 30 minutes. We meet over Zoom, and you basically bring anything that's keeping you up at night for running your small business, whether it's marketing, how to set up, how to launch, candles, anything in between. All the information's below. And if you guys are interested in signing up for Craftybase, I do have a link below. If you want to sign up that way, I'd be open to it. I think that'd be pretty cool. If you don't, I get it. Don't feel forced at all. This is just something that I decided to set up with them because why not? I'm making this content anyways, so you guys might as well have a direct link for it. And then if it comes back to me for the time and energy, I'm into it, but no pressure either way. My name is Ashley, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't yet subscribed, that would absolutely make my day. And I can't wait to see you next time. Have a great one. Bye-bye.